And welcome to another episode of Arborist Growth Podcasts with me, Graeme Knight. And today I am actually very, very, very psyched to have Saby Sattler with me, who's Director of Sales for ArboStar. We'll dig into that for
I'm
sure.
pretty
How are
good.
you
Thanks,
doing,
Graeme,
Saby?
for having me. Hi, everyone.
Awesome. It's great to see you again. We've met a few times now, actually, particularly in the conferences as well, and always have a lot of fun chatting to you folks. And I'm really curious about your first answer to this. So before we dig in, I'm gonna ask you this question here because
Right on
we'll
the
get
spot. I like
a
it.
really interesting perspective right on the spot. In your opinion, let me think about that question again because I haven't asked it for a while. In your opinion, what are one or two things that help companies, arborist companies, really strive and grow from those that are just struggling to survive?
That's a good question to starter. Let's see. So I'm pretty lucky, right? Because I'm an arborist over 18 years. I know quite a while about the industry. I worked like in three different continents. I worked in Europe. I worked in New Zealand. I'm based in Canada, so North America as well.
Oh,
So I would say, first, I think what separates you from the others if you know your numbers. Like they need to know their numbers. You know, most owners know how to remove a tree, how to prune a tree, how to get to the site, how to talk to the clients, but far fewer know what it actually costs them. The biggest pricing mistake isn't math. It's more like the fear that you know all your competition and they know that what they are pricing and you fear of losing the job itself. So the market is not setting your price, your floor price. Your cost do, right? So you need to know, you exactly
cool.
need to know what it costs you to go there for estimating, to get the call, to go there to estimate, to send out a crew, to invoice the job. Like you need to know your numbers. And I think the other thing that I saw and I've seen a lot of times, and I know a lot of people all around the world, that they build a system, not dependencies, right? So as a company owner, I need to think that if my best estimator walked out tomorrow, does the business keep running? Like if my crew lead is going to leave, what's next? Like the companies that scale, they build processes, they don't live inside one person's head. And that was my mistake back in the days as well, right? As a company owner, that I need to do everything, I need to overlook everything, everything has to be me because I know what's best for the company. But not it's not always true. Like you need to have the right people in the right seat to scale and manage a company and to do well. And probably I have another one just to think. Sorry, just to thinking this through.
This is
A third
great.
one, a third
Keep
one
going.
that I would say that a lot of people and mostly like you guys, the owners, should think about to play along, right? That the cheapest company in town is usually the first to disappear, and you do the best for your company if you compete on the company's reputation and relationships with your clients, not on like you need to be the cheapest. No,
Yeah.
you need to be the one that's the greatest.
And in fact, being the cheapest means that you're probably not looking at your costs and it's costing you to
Yeah,
go out to your client, do the work. Your margin is super squeezed. You can't
yeah,
ultimately,
yeah.
you're
Everything
on the road to the
intertwines,
bottom,
right?
right? Love it. That's really, really cool. Three amazing points. Thanks so much for
Thank you
that.
for the hard question right
Super.
in the first second. That's very nice from you. Thank you.
That's awesome. So, Saby, tell us a little bit about yourself. First of all, you obviously have such an amazing
Thank you.
background. Before we move on to what you're doing today, what have you done? Where have you come from?
So as
Tell
you
us your
can
story.
pick up on my accent, it's 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 a European accent. I was born in Europe, and I worked as a firefighter for like 10 years. And as a firefighter, I used chainsaws. I had a lot of friends, and I saw people cutting trees, and we did some storm damage work here and there. And I was like, well, that's something that's interesting. So one of my friends was doing tree work, and I was like, okay, I'm really interested in this. So I started working for him as a groundie. And then I started doing climbing, I started doing tree work, and I was like, okay, I can do this on my own. So I partnered up with one of my colleagues, and we started a company. And then I took over the company, I scaled it, and I sold the company. And then I started moving around with family. I worked in New Zealand
cool.
as an arborist on the South Island. It was amazing. The best arborist I ever seen are the Kiwis, so shout out for them if they are listening. It's a great
Nice.
spot to work and learn from those guys. And then of course Canada, worked in Canada where I used ArboStar, and I realized that it's amazing. I used other systems before as an arborist, and I know it's not that block when we do some advertisement, but I use Jobber, I use Single Ops and a lot of other stuff, and they were great. And then I started using ArboStar, and I was like, holy moly, this is something different than those guys. So I started digging into reaching out to customer success and so on until I found out that ArboStar was created by arborists from Toronto. So I sent them directly an email. I had a couple great chat with them, and then I joined the team as just a sales guy 4 years ago, and right now I'm director of sales, overlooking sales and marketing part, doing demos for larger clients, managing our A's and SDR teams, and I love it. I love talking to arborists. I love helping them understanding their struggles and trying to show them that how a system can solve it. I'm not saying that always, that it's, I would say it's more like nearly my demos are more like a coaching session. I really love to dig into like how they do, what they do, why they do that way, and then show them a better way. That can be any type of system. Of course, because I believe in ArboStar, I believe in the vision, and I see personally how it works and what it can do. It's the go-to thing. But yeah, so right now that's the job what I'm doing.
So hold on a second. So you went from firefighter to arborist in, well, basically 3 continents, I guess. So you obviously love what you're doing. You're obviously good at what you're doing. And then you became a sales guy for a software company.
Yes.
That must be, I want to dig into this, because to make such a profound career change, it must have been something special. So maybe we can dig into ArboStar, how you kind of got started there, and what makes ArboStar special for you personally.
That's a great question. And this is something that if you have listeners who's using ArboStar and had a meeting with me before, probably they heard this before. What I always say that it is so obvious that when you see ArboStar, that there are arborists involved in the operation and creation of this system. And this is something probably why I ended up here. Like, I love being an arborist. I did sales as well as an arborist for a really, really long time. And I love talking to clients. I love talking about arboriculture. And I love using tech. Like, I love tech. I love phones. I love laptops. I love cars, everything that's involved with a little bit about tech. And when I started using this system, as I said before, I used different systems. But when I started using ArboStar, I immediately had a feeling like, wow, this is like really well tailored to our industry and really well picking up on those tiny nuances and workflows that an arborist knows, right? That okay, this is how I like to work, and I don't need to adjust anything because the system is already mapping out my workflow as an arborist. And I started picking up at that, and I was like, well, this is like pretty interesting that someone in tech created something that so tailored to an industry. Because all the other system that I use, they always like, we are tailored. But there's always something that I was missing. And when I started using ArboStar, and they started coming out with like newer and newer features and updates, because every quarter we have a big feature update, and I was like, wow, this is amazing. Wow, this is what I wanted. And they always like touched on those pain points that maybe it was missing from the system, but they created in the next quarter. And then I got so interested in it that I just sent an email to my customer success manager at that time, like, hey, I want to know more about the history of this system and then I got connected to the owners. Turned out they are arborists, and then we had great chats, and I was like, guys, I'm really interested because they have a vision. So they are arborists that created a software, not just because it's a good business, right? SaaS, let's be honest, that's a really good business, really expensive as a business owner,
Absolutely.
super expensive. But their vision was more like forming the industry because they are arborists. They wanted to create something that can help those guys like me and you guys who's listening to spend more time with family, to be more productive, be more efficient, and be more health and safety focused. So this system has features built in that helps you to learn things and implement new things that maybe you were thinking of or you heard about, like safety forums, pre-start checks, and so on, but you're looking on it. And when I talked to them first, they were like, yeah, we own the business, but it's not just a software. We want to help the industry. And that's why, like, for example, we have such amazing partners, and sorry, I know it's not an ad blog, but shout out to Visual Climber from UK. Great.
No,
great guy.
This is great.
Such a cool arborist. Like Visual Climber, check him out, guys. You can see a lot of cool things. And Nathan, the arborist, again. Like, we have so many cool arborists that we work with, and ArborTech as a company from the UK, for example, they are all so health and safety focused and trying to give something for the industry that we just organically aligned with our vision. And that's why cool. When I was very like, cool. Guys, I want to be on board. I want to be part of this.
That's very cool. So originally you were a user of ArboStar.
Exactly.
And then you were so impressed with it, you started to make a career change.
Exactly. I was a sales and operations guy, so awesome. I was using it for sales, and I was using it for scheduling and managing crews, and I was like, wow, this is awesome.
So, I'm glad to have you on the podcast and bring ArboStar to the world. For sure, we don't encourage selling things here, but I think it's really interesting to dig into the software. What is ArboStar actually? Is it a straight CRM? And why should a tree service company even use a CRM? And I say that because I know so many tree service owners who are stuck on spreadsheets, pens and paper, etc. And that seems to me to, for one thing, it limits growth. Secondly, it doesn't help them with their own internal processes to be able to be efficient. I'm guessing even in terms of giving estimates and the path that you drive to give those estimates. So, what is ArboStar actually doing for people?
Great question. Again, I love talking to you. And
and likewise.
where to start with, right? So
let's start. What's CRM? Is ArboStar CRM? What is it?
That's pretty woke to say it's a CRM, because like we can go after what's the definition of a CRM and so on. Like, well, we say that ArboStar is a business management platform. So it has
Oh, I like
a
that.
CRM built in,
Oh,
but it's not just a CRM.
got it.
And the reason behind it's not just a CRM, because it has features that are specifically tailored to the trigger. For example, fleet management. For example, chemical tracking. So if you think of a CRM that does the client relations, probably won't do things like ArboStar does. Because again, that's how an arborist can see that it's really tailored and created by arborists. So it's not a CRM, it's way more than a CRM. Of course, it has a CRM part, which is amazing. So the client relation part, you have a lot of automations, you have automated follow-ups, automated reminders, templates, professional design, the client portals. And then when we leave the CRM part, you have the estimating dedicated app that, again, I never seen anyone doing this, but it works offline. So you can go out, and because you're an arborist, there are certain scenarios when you're going to work in remote areas, or you're going to work when the whole grid is down and you don't have self-service and so on. The app is still going to function. So you will be able to create estimates. You will be able to add new clients.
Oh,
So
cool.
again, that's such a huge topic. It's way more than just a CRM. And I've talked to so many company owners. There are well-established tree companies, and let's say the biggest shock for me was I was talking to a gentleman, family-owned company, third generation from the States, running 12 crews, pen and paper. Pen and paper.
Wow.
And I was exactly the same. I was like,
Really?
wow. And we spent probably like 20 minutes just going through their processes because I was so interested. Like, you guys scaled up and you're still scaling, and your pen and
Yeah.
paper, I wanna
Yeah.
I wanna know
Wow.
everything about it, how you guys did it. And it was really interesting. And software is not for everyone, right? Because there's always pushback when we talk about software and relying your data, your information and everything into something that physically you can touch, right? Because you just go into the internet and that can be scary. But if you look into like a bigger picture, it will give you so many things that people don't think of. So it's not just storing and having automations whatsoever. Like, you need to look into the exact, like, what's the return? What will I get out from having a system, any type of system? And again, I don't want to just always mention ArboStar. So any type of system. If you find something that you think can suit your company well, it's supposed to. Not, I can't say it's going to, right? Because I can testify that it's going to, but it's supposed to help you to be more efficient, be home more, be with your family more, focus more on the business, and just get back your life a little bit. Because if we want to be honest, like us arborists, we are grinding, right? We are at the yard before the sun's up, probably, as company owners. Your crew is on the yard, at the yard immediately, 6 a.m. during summer, 7 a.m. during the winter, and we are out until the job is done. And with system in place, you will immediately say, like, okay, I can do things from home. I can finish up earlier. I can help my crew, and so on.
Yeah. I've always thought of things as being a little bit incremental as you grow. So maybe you start with a pen and paper, and then maybe you find a few problems that you need to deal with. So you move to a spreadsheet, or perhaps you these days use a little bit of AI to help you with your processes, and it sort of all fits together. So the way that you're talking about ArboStar being a business management system seems like, to me, all that knowledge and experience of of the arborists that work in ArboStar, but I'm assuming the feedback from the clients as well all goes into the system to solve these problems that we. It's not static, right? It's something that changes over time.
That's such a good point there. So another thing, like, again, about us, about ArboStar, that we're really proud of is the way how we work with our users. So we created a referral program, and we have a lot of stuff, and it's not about the incentives. It's about more users, more feedback, more features that are developed for the industry. So we are collecting every quarter. We do meetings with our users, and we collect information from them about, is there anything that you want to change in the system? Is there anything that you think should work in a different way? Is there anything that we have and maybe we don't? And then we collect all those data and we hand it over to our business analysts. Right now, we have over 60 engineers in the company working on the software, which is a huge number. So we put them in an order, and then internally, like us, the arborists, we work with our BAs, and then we invite users as well to give us feedbacks, and that's how ArboStar gets better and better. That we create features based on the requests and feedbacks that people think like, hey guys, it would be awesome if something like this we would have in the system, or it would work in a way like this, and we listen to them. And that's why, like, ArboStar is evolving and getting better and better and better and better. It's not a system that was created in 14 and stayed the same and got like a nice UX UI design. No, it's constantly evolving and getting better to serve the industry.
I was a software developer back in the Stone Age, in the dark ages there, and one of the best companies I ever worked for was the company that listened to its users and implemented things that the users wanted. And from a developer's point of view, it was fantastic to have people send me an email and say, thank you so much. That's beautiful. That's what I wanted. That's helping my business. Now, you don't get that with spreadsheets or pen and paper, and you don't get that with other software companies as well. Is that culture, is that really a main focus, a culture of ArboStar?
Yes, and this is the reason behind it is the leadership, the arborists, right? That we want to make the industry better, and not just to create a generic tool, create something that's going to pretty much make history and help the industry to evolve. And this is exactly like, just to go back, I think it was a couple of questions before when you were like paper-based and having a software, and I said it's hard to implement. Like, I had several times when they were asking like, but why would I change if it works, right? The question, like, why would I change from pen and paper if I've been running the company over 100 years with my family? Usually I just ask them like, do you still climb on Blake's Hitch? Because back in the days we started climbing on a Blake's Hitch, and now you can just, if you want to start in the industry, you can spend immediately like $3,000 out of the window just on climbing gear. And they're like, no, we have like the newest tools and so on. I'm like, exactly, right? Thank you for answering me. Exactly. Like, you have the newest tools, you have the newest truck, you have knuckle boom crane for removals, you have dingo to carry the load and the wood and not doling out and so on. So why do you stick with a paper? Because Blake's Hitch you can climb the same way, but you're not as efficient on like an SRT on a rope wrench whatsoever. Like, you have newer tools, right?
So this is interesting then. Let me ask you this. We're May 2026 now. Presumably, as climbing gear, as technology, as vehicles, they advance. The way we do things advances as well. So that has to be important for the software you're using too. I guess the software has to advance as the business advances.
Yes. I think so, and we think so. So that's, for example, the reason behind we have an AI department. So ArboStar has an AI department with a bunch of cool people that can speak language that probably you can understand. I cannot, like, but I can see the product. And
I always want to apply for a job.
and
Seriously.
yeah, so this is exactly what I said, that this system is not a system that was developed in 14 and had newer UX UI design, like newer interface every year. No, this is a system that was developed in 14 and got newer feature, newer workflows every quarter. And that's why we are collecting like feedbacks, and that's why we sometimes we don't wait for feedbacks, right? Like we are right now in the era of AI, which is a lot of people are pushing back, and
Yeah.
I think that's okay because it can be scary, right? That what can an AI do? And a lot of people think that it's going to take my job and take over, like in Terminator, but hopefully not. But who knows, right?
Who
Who knows?
knows?
But I think like if you want to succeed in business, if you want to succeed as a, I don't know, as a sales guy, as a marketer, right? AI can be really useful, and it's never going to
Yes,
replace an arborist, for
absolutely.
example, because how I see it, it's going to help our industry to probably make better decisions, to be more efficient, to help us, and it's not going to tell us what to
Right.
do. So right now, if we think of like Plant Healthcare, PHC, you get a call, you go to the site, you have a tree with a disease. You're going to rely on your own experiences and your own knowledge that you learned while you became an IC arborist or any other associations. And you're going to look at a tree and say, like, I think this is what's going on. But if it may be something you never seen or you're doubting yourself, you're going to tell the client, I'm going to send you a proposal and get back to you. Right? And you will go home, sit down,
Right.
open your book, pull up Google, whatsoever, and try to find it and identify things. So, in our perspective, and where we are trying to push the AI is, for example, can be in your pocket as on your app, and it's already existing. And it's in ArboStar. You can take a photo while you're talking to the client without the client knowing you're using any help. And you can take a photo and it can tell you, like, based on my knowledge, that is from all tons of thousands of books that have been learned and helped with AI. It's going to diagnose and give you a suggestion. And then we can push it further, like, okay, now I know what's going on. Give me a suggestion on treatment. And so
Perfect. Yeah.
it's something I think that I've never seen technology with this much potential to help tree companies to compete and
Yes.
become more professional and
Love it.
better.
Yes. I yesterday I was in my garden and I saw a beautiful purple flower. I took a picture of it, threw it into ChatGPT. What is this? And sure enough, it's a weed. Right?
Yeah.
I didn't know what it was, and the information
Yes.
is right there. And you know, in business now, I mean, as an arborist, it seems logical to me that you would have almost help in your pocket for all sorts of different situations. You know, like you said, be it, you know, a plant healthcare solution,
Exactly.
be it a situational solution in somebody's backyard that you're unfamiliar with. Maybe there's a question you can ask of AI to help you
Yeah.
in the
For,
processes.
for me, when I
perhaps.
think about and I'm testing and I'm getting feedback from some of our beta testers about the AI, when I talk to them and how I framed it. So back in the days when we went out and we were estimating, we had two books with us in the truck. One is for disease and pesticides and so on. The other one was tree ID. And what's the difference between sitting in your car and going through your book than having the phone
It's the same.
and double checking things?
Yeah.
Like right now, no one's using Yellow Book anymore, right? You go to Google, it's the same thing.
Right.
You search for things,
Right.
and the AI can do it for you. So it's not going to take your job. It's going to elevate you as a professional, and you're going to become more professional and more reliable and more efficient.
And I think the kicker for me is if you don't do that, the other guy will.
There's always,
So, now there's an added complexity in business that's coming in where other people are getting a foot up with things like AI as well. So, I mean, what I'm hearing is don't fight it, embrace it, lean into it.
It's coming.
Interesting. Yeah. And who knows where it's going to go?
No one knows.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. Okay. You mentioned things like fleet management. That's quite an interesting thing to me as well, because I would struggle to do that on my spreadsheet or figure out where my chipper is or what have you. And I guess that's part of business management system as well. What sort of things, what other things do ArboStar give you?
We are huge on data and analytics, but let's go first from the beginning. So, right, we have a CRM. The CRM, it has a lot of automations to follow up on clients, to follow up on appointments, to remind people without you doing anything. Then we pushed it through like, okay, we have reminders. Like, what else do we need? We need marketing. So the system can do mass emails for targeted audience that you're filtering out. We do text messages and MMS as well. Then we pull reports on it for you guys so you can see how the marketing is working. And then the estimating, scheduling that's in the system as well. Use your app. The guys can clock in and out. So we are talking about timesheets. We are talking about payroll. We are talking about going after and checking the data if the job was profitable, if you lost money, where, why. We're helping the operations. So when you're scheduling, we made it really visual so everyone can see jobs where they're located. So it's not just numbers and text. It's a complete map with a lot of data that you can further filter out. Then payment processing, again, a huge thing in the system. So it's really convenient for the customers, like the tree company's customers, just to get an invoice, hit the click, and make a payment. And then we pushed a little bit further with the option to pass on processing fees. So a lot of companies are eating it up. Again, knowing your numbers. Like if you make $1 million, let's say, a year, and 60% is on credit card fees, that's right. We are at $600,000, and then you're saying that your processing fee is 3%. You paid a good amount of money for just credit card fees. If you can save that with the system because it can automatically pass on, that's already a win. Business analytics, huge. We are huge on reports. We have really big companies that we work with, like over 300-400 employees, and we listen to their feedback. So all the reports that are available in the system, they are pretty much based on, again, real life requests. Like, hey, as a company, like, with 30-40 crews, I need reports like XYZ. Okay, then we are going to make it happen. And this is how we operate.
Very cool. I almost feel like, if you want to grow your company, you have to have a tool like this. The question, I always talk to arborists who are, either they're single people with a chainsaw and a small crew, and they're creating an income for themselves and they're happy, and that's where they are. And then sometimes you meet people who are, like, how do I get 2 crews? How do I get 3 crews? How do I grow this company? How do I remove myself from having to do the work so that ultimately I can sell the business? And it just seems to me these days that it's impossible to do that without software like this.
I think so. I think so.
Not impossible?
Not
maybe.
Impossible,
not impossible, but really difficult
it's really
without.
difficult.
Especially knowing your numbers.
Know your numbers, super important. But the other thing I think that really important to mention, like if comparing to having everything on paper or multiple different systems right? Because a lot of companies are operating like that as well. Like, hey, I have an accounting system. I have Google Calendar. I have something for creating PDFs, and they are operating and they are not connected. So I think the biggest struggle is to trying to do everything yourself, to trying to keep everything together. That's saying like, okay, it's okay if we have paper because I can go out, write it down. Then I'm going to pass it to my admin who's going to type it in. And everything is like a manual labor, connecting dots, trying to move data and so on. Like that's something that is going to be a roadblock in your growth, that you want to do everything. That's why a system works, because it's connecting those dots. Everything is synced, and you don't need to search for things and double check things, and everything is there in front of you, right? And I feel like a lot of times the biggest bottleneck of tree companies are usually the owners, because we are hard-headed.
Sure,
yeah, we don't want to share data. I know everything better, and so on. And then to the biggest growth system, and it's not like a software system, but knowing your numbers. Like, you don't need fancy dashboard, just simple things. And again, not having a system in place and just owning your data and trying to figure out everything yourself, a tremendous amount of time. But if you have a system that's supposed to know your lead volume, your close rate, your average job size, your production rates, your profitability, like everything is there. So you can just do a couple of clicks and you see it, instead of, I know people spending daily an hour and a half just entering data. And then on a Fridays, doing 2 hours on compiling and creating a report. And there you go. You spend 8 hours for one person in a week to do tasks that any system can do, probably.
Yeah. It's costly. It's got error prone. It's error prone. Probably confusing. Probably inaccurate. So what? I'm just getting a sense of, it's not just a guy with a chainsaw. If you really want to build a business, it's a business. It's a silly thing to say, but we have to learn how to be business people. And when you're talking about knowing your numbers, and you're talking about adopting software to help you do that in 2026, it just makes so much sense. People are struggling out there now, apparently. But I talk to some people who are not struggling, and we all have the same economy. And I sometimes wonder if those people who are not struggling just have their end-to-end systems more dialed than the people that are struggling. Maybe they know their numbers, maybe they know their market. Maybe they know how to run their business a little better. And it might not be a factor of the market. It might be a factor of the eternal struggle of running a business,
and again, it boils down, I think, to leadership and owners, that if you talk to pretty much any like home service owners, or let's stick with tree companies, but I the reason why I'm saying home service, because I don't want to say that we are doing everything in the worst way, but no, it's everyone who's a company owner. I think when you ask them like, hey, how you guys doing? Like, how's the business whatsoever? A lot of owners are going to say like, oh, it's going pretty well. Like, we are busy, right? That's usually, we are busy. We're doing very well. But in my point of view, being busy does not necessarily mean that you're being profitable, right? Because I see owners I
Yeah,
see owners
100%.
working 70 hours a week, thinking that because they are
Yeah.
exhausted, their crew are exhausted, and they are going from morning to till the sun is down, they are succeeding. But many are running on just hard, but not actually moving forward. And they can grow
Yeah.
because you can outwork a bad estimate, a poor system, or bad numbers. The goal for a company and for an owner is not to work harder and work more, and the crew to work harder and more. I think the goal is to build a business that works better, right? Because
Yeah.
if your business
Yeah.
only works when you are working, you don't own a business. You own the job. Like you own your business
Right.
when it works without you. Let's be honest. When everything in place and it's a well-oiled machine. And if something happens and someone is out,
Yeah.
I can do an advertisement, get a new guy who is qualified to that role, put in, read the processes, and use the system, whatever in place. And then we are not losing any momentum there. That's when you have a business. Yeah.
And profitability. You mentioned profitability as well, and we had I think one of our first guests was Dave Sheridan over in Michigan there, Essential Tree Care, and I think he was the one who said chase profit, not revenue,
That's a good one.
because if you're chasing revenue, you may
That's a
well not
good
be
one.
profitable, and yeah, that's pretty interesting. What's the sort of next couple of years look like for ArboStar? Any secrets that you can tell us? Things that are coming? Where's the market going? It's okay if you don't want to
Like
spill.
we are focusing completely on the system and the feedbacks to make it amazing as a user experience, and we are focusing on the AI, on our AI, so it's not like
Yeah.
Claude connected to our system or change. No, we have an AI department, so we are creating something really amazing, and our biggest goal
Nice.
is to have great partners right now, to work with companies and associations that elevates the industry and makes the industry better,
Yeah.
and that's what we are aiming for. Having guys as a partner like ATCP, which is the Association of Tree Care Professionals, or ArborTech, or again, this is not an advertisement, so I don't want to mention anymore. But this is where we are aiming for, to elevate the industry and help companies and create more useful features to the users.
And I thought I just published a podcast from a couple of weeks back with Matt Latham and from Arborist On Demand, and he said something interesting, which I never considered, was that the industry was so young right now, and the things are growing,
Yeah.
and the future is really there, and the technology is coming in, and it's an exciting time to be a part of the
It is.
industry. And I know what it's like with software. Software is so hard to work with and develop. So all that feedback from clients, software has bugs, you've got to make it better, you've got to fix bugs,
And they always,
going,
they should have
from
bugs.
the point of view of
Like
clients.
that's something, for example,
Sure.
when I talk to our customers or clients and I'm in demo, they always ask me, like, how reliable is the system? Like, what is reliable, right? Do we say a system is reliable if it doesn't freeze? Or a system is reliable if it keeps you operational? Or what is reliability? So whoever,
Interesting.
guys, if you're looking for a system and you go into a demo and you ask the company if they have bugs and they say no, and close the door and walk out. Like, that impossible. Like, just think about it. What phone are you using? iPhone, Android? How new is it?
I have a
Right?
very buggy phone. It's an iPhone. It's got
What
bugs.
laptop? Is it freezing? Like, of course, they should have bugs because that's how it works.
Yeah.
The question here,
Yeah.
how fast those bugs are getting fixed, and what happens after you realize there's a bug, and what type of bugs are they? Are they?
And also the
Yeah,
communication between your
yeah.
users and the company that is providing the
Yeah.
software.
So I
That's
just had a really cool meeting with an Australian company. They're over 100 employees, and right now, which is awesome, they're on ArboStar. They started using ArboStar, and we were talking about system reliability, and they were asking. We had our SRE there, head of SRE of ArboStar, and they were asking him like, "What's your downtime in measured?" And he was like, we don't really measure it in downtime. We have uptime because the downtime is so small. So our uptime is
yeah.
99.98%, and the 0.2% were planned maintenance. So that's what's important. And with the bugs, like, of course, the thing that it has to be fixed. And that's why, like, it's another important question when you're looking for software is not just how it works, like what's the support and your technical team looks like. So that's why we have over 60 guys and girls just working
Right.
as an engineer and developer. To if there's something, they have 5 minutes to solve it, or up till 15 if it's something like really. But we don't have like we have a really big QA testing and a lot of other stuff. So software is really interesting. Like I never thought about
It is.
how it works, but as soon as I joined and I saw the company and I saw how the structure of these dev guys and front end, back end, QAs, and so on. I was like, wow, this is like pretty cool.
That is awesome. Yeah. And a big team. So you know, ArboStar's going to be around for
Yeah,
some time, I
yeah,
imagine.
yeah. It's pretty much the biggest dev team right
Developing.
now on the market that we have.
Yeah. Wow. Let me ask you this, because we're coming up to the top of the hour now. Books that you've read that you might recommend to people.
Oh,
Could be non-fiction, could be fiction, could be anything, could be anything related to
if
business.
we talk about business, and I just yeah, for business owners, for example, I really love the E-Myth Revisited. That
Yes. Oh, that's a good one.
that's a
Ooh,
good book. Or the latest book that I read
Michael E.
was
Berger. Yeah.
the biography of Mark Hoppus from Blink 182. That was the last one I read.
Okay. Oh, interesting. Okay, I don't know that one, but I do know the E-Myth, and it's probably one that arborists should read. How to work on your business
Yeah,
in your
it's a
business.
really, really good book.
If you,
Yeah,
if you want to grow your business. The other one that I just was reading, I had to drive to New Hampshire, so I might as well mention this now. And probably a lot of people know this already, was Profit First by Michael Michalowicz. That's a good one as well about how to run a business
there's
profitably.
tons of great books to read,
And,
to be
and
honest. And
yeah, there
yeah.
are
And
for
that's
sure.
another thing about reading and books, and I know we are getting to the end. That I think that's really important in this industry to understand as arborist, and something that I love to talk about that we we need to learn. We need to educate ourselves, right? And when we are working with our clients, we need to educate them as well. So it's as an arborist, when
Sure.
you're hiring, you don't want to hire a car sales guy. You don't want to hire someone who's going to go there and hard sell things. Because a lot of small companies,
Right.
what they want is to sell, sales, sales, right? We can remove, we can remove, we can remove. We have the best price, but you want reputation. You want your clients to
Sure.
think about you like, wow, that guy really knew what he was talking about, or girl. And the reason why I'm reaching back to them because they helped me, they educated me. And that's when you hire your crew leads and so on. Like that's the toughest thing to get the right people in the company that you can work with, and they align your core values and your business vision.
Yeah. Actually, some of the bigger companies that I talk to, they are wired with this stuff, from the professionalism, from the way that they present themselves, through to the philosophy of helping the client. It's the long game, and
because that
have
separates you from the others, right?
for sure.
Because you can have
Exactly.
the shiniest gear and amazing chainsaws. Chainsaws is important, but your client. What I wanted to say that your client, when your guys are working in a backyard, front yard, next to the road, on trees, what will your client see? Your client won't see if it was a beautiful negative rigging, if that notch was perfect, if you were climbing in the right way, your M rig. They won't see that. What they will see is your professionalism, your customer service. That when they called you, who picked up the phone? How did that person answer? What happened after there? Was there any follow-up? Your estimator was on time. Was he nice? Was he or her someone who helped me, educated me? And then the crew, again, were they professional? Did they leave, I don't know, later in my backyard? So it's everything boils down to be professional.
Right. That's an important lesson for sure. And also, I have to say this, having a great website.
Yeah, like
that's important as well, because that's professionalism too, right?
And the SEO and your website, 100%. And again, as a former tree company owner or someone who's, so far we have over 600 companies in ArboStar, so I talk to tons of arborists, and I'm going from shows to shows as well. Super important. Like, you need a good company who can help you creating a proper website and knows what to look in the website, proper SEO and Google reviews. And when you're shopping around for software, and that's a hint here, Google review and reviews, because I can be a great sales guy. You come to demo, I can tell you everything, show you everything without you trying. Do your research. And it's the same with tree companies. If you're looking for a software and they don't have Google review, that's a good indicator that they turned off their Google business. Same thing about tree companies, right?
100%. Yeah. Social
100%. You need them.
Say it's ever so important. Yeah. Saby, where can people find you? Now, I know you're always at shows, ISA shows. You're presumably going to be at TCIA down in Florida as well. So, I encourage people to come find ArboStar and just have a chat first off. So that's my advertisement for you guys. Where can people find you if they want to?
On our website, they will find us. If you can put it on a little something in the thumbnail or somewhere. Sure. I just don't want to advertise. Like they can look us up, ArboStar. They will find us. Feel free to reach out. You guys can find me on LinkedIn as well. Just search for my name. I'm more than happy, even just to talk about business and just networking. I'm a sales guy, but I'm not pushing anyone's throat down ArboStar. I just want to talk to guys. I love the industry.
Yep. Make a network. Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I'll add your contact details and ArboStar to the show notes. People will be able to find you there. But in the meantime, Saby, it was a real pleasure to have you on the podcast, and I am really, really excited to talk about ArboStar here for sure and know more about yourself. As well.
Yeah, so thanks Graeme, for having me, and thanks everyone for listening. I hope to catch up with you soon, man. Take care. Bye-bye.
Take care of yourself.